My name is Sally Blanton, and I had just turned 30 when my world cracked open like glass dropped on stone. At that time, I thought my life was steady, predictable in the best way. I was a software engineer at a mid-sized firm pulling in a solid salary. Nothing flashy, but enough for comfort, enough for plans, enough for love. And love was what I thought I had with Justin, the man I'd been with for 5 years. We'd met in college back when he was studying marketing. He brimmed with big dreams, talked about climbing corporate ladders, traveling, living loud. I was quieter, more grounded. I believed that consistency was its own kind of romance. When Justin landed his first job in another city, I didn't hesitate. I packed up my life, transferred departments, and moved with him. I even turned down a promotion in my hometown so I could be by his side. For years, I carried more than my share of the weight. Rent, groceries, student loans. When his entry-level paychecks couldn't stretch, I filled the gaps. Your wins are my wins, I used to tell him, and I meant it. That was the rhythm of us. I built the foundation, and he promised the future. But cracks don't announce themselves with explosions. They whisper. Justin grew fascinated with social media, the kind of content filled with alpha male gurus and women promising magnetic, irresistible feminine energy. At first, it was harmless, scrolling something I teased him about when I caught him watching self-help reels. But it shifted. Soon, I became the target of comparison. He'd laugh about women online who knew how to light up a room, then glance at me as if I'd failed some secret test. At parties, he'd make remarks like how his coworker had this natural spark that I should take notes from. I brushed it off at first. Everyone vents. Everyone jokes. But the sting lingered. Because behind his words was a message I wasn't enough. By the time my 30th birthday arrived, I thought we were climbing back to something normal. He insisted on making the night special, cooked my favorite meal, lit candles, poured wine. I walked in tired from work, but hopeful, smiling at the sight of our little apartment glowing with warmth. We laughed through dinner, shared stories, clinked glasses. For a moment, it felt like the love I remembered. And then he slid a wrapped box across the table. "Happy birthday, babe. I think this is exactly what you need." I tore the paper, expecting maybe the watch I'd hinted at or the photography class I'd bookmarked online. Instead, staring back at me was a glossy paperback. How to Be More Feminine, Unlocking Your Inner Goddess. A woman in a red dress graced the cover, her body posed like an advertisement. I froze, blinking at the title as if it would rearrange itself into something else. Something kinder. I laughed nervously. "What's this?" Justin leaned back, swirling his wine. "Constructive criticism. You've been predictable lately. Comfortable. I love you, Sally, but..." His smile sharpened. "I crave more excitement. Other women, they have this energy, this presence. You don't. Not anymore." The words fell like stones into silence. My stomach knotted. The refrigerator hummed in the background, louder than my heartbeat. "You've been thinking about other women." My voice barely rose above a whisper. He didn't flinch. "I haven't done anything yet. But yes, at the gym at work. They have this glow, this confidence that makes my pulse race. You're steady, sure, but you're boring me. I got you this book to help. If you read it, change a little, maybe I won't need to look elsewhere." The air left my lungs. All I could see were the years replaying in reverse. The nights I stayed up proofreading his presentations, the weekends I skipped trips to help him recover from burnout. The bills I paid so he could chase his dreams without panic. All the sacrifices I made flattened into a joke, a flaw. He called it help. I heard it as fix yourself or be replaced. Anger bubbled, sharp and electric. I wanted to scream, demand why loyalty wasn't enough, why being steady was suddenly a curse, but something inside me snapped into clarity. If he could sit across from me on my birthday after 5 years and confess that he craved strangers more than the woman who built a life beside him, what was left to fight for? I closed the book gently, like tucking a corpse into a coffin. Then I looked at him. "Thank you for the gift, Justin. I appreciate the thought." His smirk faltered. "That's it, you're not mad. Come on, Sally. This is constructive. If you put in the effort, we could be amazing again." I rose from the table, sliding into my jacket. "No need. You've been clear." He scrambled to follow. "Wait, it's your birthday." "Don't overreact. Women need to embrace their femininity. It's biology. We could fix this if you just..." I gripped my keys. His tone was smug, certain I'd crumble, beg him to stay. Instead, I nodded once. "Got it. Enjoy your night." I walked out, No door slams, no dramatic tears, just silence, my heels clicking against the hallway floor. That night, I checked into a modest hotel room downtown and lay awake staring at the ceiling. The book still burned in my memory, its glossy cover mocking me. But beneath the sting, a quiet resolve took root. If he couldn't value the woman I already was, I wasn't going to rewrite myself for him. That birthday marked the end. I didn't go back the next day. Instead, I texted Justin a single message: "We're done. I'll arrange to get my things." Nothing more. No pleading, no explanations. I hired movers for my share of the furniture, sorted the lease paperwork through email, and blocked his number once logistics were finished. Clean. Surgical. It wasn't about punishing him, it was about survival. For weeks, my phone buzzed with his messages. "Where are you? This is ridiculous. Come home so we can discuss this like adults." But the more he pressed, the more I pulled away. His words no longer held power. I moved into a small one-bedroom condo closer to work. The place was quiet, almost too quiet at first, but the silence was mine. I filled it with candles, books, the hum of my own playlists, instead of his endless self-improvement podcasts. Work became my anchor. The promotion I'd once turned down was still on the table. Longer hours, more responsibility, but also recognition. This time I said yes. For the first time in years, I wasn't trimming myself down to fit Justin's dreams. But even with progress, the nights could be cruel. I'd sit alone replaying his words, predictable, boring, craving other women. Each phrase clawed at me. Why was loyalty a flaw? Why was stability mocked? I started journaling, pouring the venom out of my chest and onto paper. In those messy pages, I saw something I hadn't noticed before. Justin's obsession with excitement wasn't about me being inadequate. It was about his own emptiness. Therapy helped too. A few sessions reminded me of what I'd ignored for years, how I'd silenced my own needs to keep him comfortable, how often I'd mistaken sacrifice for love. Slowly, I built myself back up. I joined a fitness class, not because Justin ever pushed me to, but because movement cleared my mind. I joined a weekend hiking group, letting the rhythm of my boots on the trail ground me. I even picked up photography, capturing still frames of the world that felt more stable than my past. The more I poured into myself, the more the sting faded. It wasn't an overnight transformation. There were nights I wept, nights I wanted to scream, nights when loneliness echoed louder than any therapy mantra. But each morning, I woke up in a space that was mine, and that reminder stitched me together again. Meanwhile, whispers about Justin drifted into my orbit through mutual friends. Apparently, he was diving headfirst into the alpha paradise he'd fantasized about. First, a glamorous woman from his gym tattoos, selfies, captions about wild nights, Justin paraded her around like a trophy, bragging to old friends about how electric it was. But the thrill fizzled. She ghosted him after 2 months, trading him for someone richer, leaving him exactly where he'd left me, discarded and confused. The irony was almost too sharp. Then came another, an entrepreneur type with a flashy smile and louder ambitions. She moved in with him quickly, the way fast-burning fires do. Friends told me Justin posted photos with her, tagging them with phrases like "leveled up" and "finally found my match." I didn't stalk. I didn't care enough to. But sometimes in the quiet of the night, I wondered if he'd finally found what he was chasing. Yet something in me knew what he craved was hollow, and hollowness has a way of caving in on itself. As I sat one evening in my condo, a cup of tea warming my palms, I realized something simple but monumental. Justin's opinion no longer defined me. I wasn't boring. I wasn't replaceable. I was rebuilding a life on my terms. And deep down, a voice whispered, "He'll learn that too, one way or another." News about Justin came to me in fragments. A mutual friend dropping his name mid-conversation, a photo glimpsed accidentally while scrolling. A whisper carried on the wind of a small social circle. I never sought it out, but sometimes the universe insists on letting you know how karma is unfolding. The first whisper was about a woman from his gym, stunning with a body sculpted for selfies and an audience that adored her. She fit perfectly into the narrative he'd been chasing: loud, glamorous, everything magnetic. Friends told me Justin was intoxicated, bragging about her nonstop. He called her electric. He said she made him feel alive in ways I never did. I remember sitting at my kitchen counter, stirring my tea, letting those words echo. Electric. Alive. I wondered if electricity burns when it fades. And it did. Within 2 months, she was gone. Ghosted him completely. Turned out her side hustle, was finding richer, flashier men to bankroll her lifestyle. Justin was just a stepping stone and accessory. When someone with deeper pockets arrived, she vanished without a goodbye. Friends told me he tried to act unfazed online posting motivational quotes about growth and new chapters. But privately, he ranted about how women were shallow, ungrateful. The irony wasn't lost on me. Then came the entrepreneur. Her name floated around enough that I remember it even now, Samantha. She had the energy Justin worshipped, charismatic, stylish, always the center of attention. Within weeks, she'd moved into his apartment. Their social media feeds turned into a highlight reel of power. Couple nonsense, matching outfits, captions like, boss energy only, and when two alphas unite. I didn't laugh. Not really. But part of me wondered how long two people obsessed with dominance could coexist before tearing each other apart. It didn't take long to find out. Behind the glossy posts, Samantha was controlling. Friends whispered about fights, her dictating what Justin wore, mocking his career, belittling him in public. He swallowed it at first, desperate to keep the facade alive. But the cracks grew. And then the controlling turned into cruelty. The shouting matches were legendary. One night, neighbors heard furniture slam against walls. Another time, she locked him out of his own apartment after a fight, tossing his clothes onto the landing like trash. I wasn't there, but I could picture it. The man who once sneered at my predictable love standing in a hallway, humiliated, his trophies scattered at his feet. By the 6-month mark, Samantha had drained his savings chasing her luxury fantasies, vacations, designer bags, networking events he couldn't afford. And when his credit cards maxed out, she left just like the one before her. Discarded again, this time with debt as a parting gift. Meanwhile, I was quietly thriving. Work was demanding but rewarding. I was leading a team, traveling for projects. My weekends were filled with hikes, laughter, and the crisp click of my camera shutter. When friends tried to update me on Justin's unraveling, I listened politely, then changed the subject. But inside, I couldn't help thinking he was chasing excitement and it was eating him alive. Still, I didn't gloat, because some lessons don't need a cheering audience, they need silence so the echo of choices can be heard. And Justin's echoes were just beginning. Justin's downfall wasn't explosive, it was a slow erosion. Piece by piece, the life he thought he deserved slipped away. After Samantha, the self-proclaimed entrepreneur, left him, whispers spread that Justin's finances were in shambles. He had drained his savings, maxed out his credit cards, and even borrowed from friends under the guise of temporary cash flow issues. But those friends caught on quickly. Some stopped answering his calls. Others grew tired of his excuses and cut him off entirely. By then, his once polished image was cracking. At work, his performance suffered. He'd been distracted for months, pouring his energy into appearances instead of deadlines. Eventually, management noticed. When layoffs swept through his department, Justin wasn't spared. One email, one meeting, and he was out with no severance and a damaged reputation. I didn't hear this from him, of course, he was too proud. But in a small social circle, news travels. Justin's not doing so well. A mutual friend confided one afternoon over coffee. He's been crashing on couches. Samantha drained him. He's bitter. Keeps saying women ruined his life. I stirred my drink slowly, watching the foam swirl. I wanted to feel pity, maybe even sadness. But all I felt was distance, like he was a character in someone else's story, one I'd stopped reading long ago. Meanwhile, my own life had taken on a steady glow. The condo I'd bought felt more like home every day. I decorated it with framed photographs from hikes, each picture a reminder that beauty doesn't need an audience. I joined a local photography group, found friends who valued presence over performance. At work, I wasn't just surviving, I was excelling. The promotion I once sacrificed for Justin became a platform for growth. My team respected me, and for the first time in years, I respected myself. The contrast between us was stark. He was losing everything. I was building anew. And still Karma whispered. One evening, scrolling through messages, I saw a text from another mutual friend. Sorry to say this, but Justin's been bad-mouthing you. Calls you cold. Says you abandoned him when he needed you most. I set the phone down, exhaling slowly. The irony was almost laughable. He had discarded me on my birthday, reduced me to a project that needed fixing, and now he painted himself as the victim. But I didn't respond. I didn't defend myself. I had learned by then that truth doesn't need shouting, it reveals itself in time. And it did. The same friends who once believed his version began to see through the cracks. They saw the pattern, the women he chose, the arrogance, the self-destruction. One by one, they distanced themselves from him. Some even apologized to me. We didn't know the half of it, Sally one admitted quietly. He made it sound like you were holding him back. But looking at him now, it's obvious. You were the only one holding him together. Their words should have felt like vindication. Instead, they felt like closure, a reminder that the past didn't need me anymore. Justin was unraveling. I was healing. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning of his reckoning. It started 14 months after I walked out. A text from an unfamiliar number. "Hey, Sally, it's Justin. Been thinking about us a lot." That birthday thing was stupid. I was in a weird place. Miss our talks. Coffee sometime. I stared at the screen, pulse steady. The woman I used to be, the one who bent over backwards to keep him happy, might have replied. But that version of me was gone. I deleted the message without hesitation. But Justin was never one to accept silence. A week later, another text arrived. "Come on, don't be like this. We had good times. I know I hurt you, but people change. Let's catch up." Still, I said nothing. Then came the voicemails, his voice low and oddly soft. "Sally, pick up. I saw on LinkedIn you got promoted. Congrats. I'm proud of you. Things have been rough here, but talking to you always grounded me. Call back." I listened to one, just one, then blocked the number. But Justin had a talent for persistence, and persistence turned to desperation. He found new numbers, new apps slipping past every block. Texts poured in, apologies, pleas, nostalgic memories twisted into bait. When that didn't work, he escalated. One morning, I walked into my favorite coffee shop, the one I'd been frequenting for years. Cup in hand, I turned to find him sliding into the seat across from me. "Sally," he said, breathless, as though fate had orchestrated our meeting. "Wow, you look good. Been working out?" I set my cup down slowly, refusing to flinch. "Justin, what do you want?" He fidgeted with the napkin in front of him, all false humility. I messed up. Big time. Those women, they weren't what I thought. One ghosted me, another tore me apart, and I realized what I had with you was real, stable. I took it for granted. Can we try again? I've changed. His words dripped with selective memory. The same man who once mocked my stability now begging for it. I leaned back, voice calm but firm. "Sounds tough, but I'm not interested." He blinked as though I'd spoken in another language. "What?" "No, come on, don't be like this. I know I said awful things, but it was the pressure, the influencers, the noise. I was stupid. But we can start over. Dinner. Just one dinner." "No." That single syllable cracked something in him. He sat there stunned as I stood leaving him with nothing but the echo of my refusal. But Justin wasn't done. Soon after, his sister reached out. "Sally, you need to talk to him. He's a wreck because of you. If you'd been more feminine, more receptive. None of this would have happened. Don't you think you owe him forgiveness?" I hung up mid-sentence. The entitlement ran in the family, it seemed. Then mutual friends messaged. "Sally, he's begging me to reach out. Says he needs closure. His mom's worried he's not eating." The manipulation grew obvious. He cycled through tones like costumes, apologetic, nostalgic, desperate, furious. One text would plead, "Please, I need help, I'm drowning." The next would lash out, "Fine, be a coward. You'll regret this when I'm back on top." But I didn't bend. Every message, every call, every attempt only reminded me why I left. He wasn't seeking reconciliation. He was seeking rescue, someone to patch his life back together again. And I had finally learned I wasn't his lifeline, I was my own. 2 years after that birthday, I almost forgot Justin existed. By then, my life felt whole. I had a small but steady circle of friends, weekends filled with hikes and photography trips, and a quiet joy in my own independence. And then there was Bernard, a man I'd met on one of those hikes. He was kind, grounded, with a warmth that never felt like performance. We weren't rushing to label things, but what we shared was real. No games, no roles to play. So when a mutual friend invited me to his wedding, I RSVP'd yes, without hesitation. It never crossed my mind that Justin might be there. The venue glowed with soft lights, strings of fairy bulbs weaving across the ceiling. Laughter filled the air. Glasses clinked, music played. I walked in with Bernard, his hand light at my back, and for the first time in a long time, I felt proud of who stood beside me. And then across the room I saw him. Justin, alone. His suit, ill-fitting shoulders slouched. The vibrant shine he once flaunted was gone, replaced by tired eyes, and a forced smile that didn't reach his face. He spotted me instantly. His gaze lingered not on me, but on Bernard. The envy was sharp enough to cut through the crowd. I tried to ignore it, to enjoy the evening, but it didn't last. During cocktail hour, as Bernard chatted with a group of friends, Justin appeared at my side. Sally. His voice was hoarse, like he hadn't used it in days. Can we talk just 5 minutes, please? I sighed, setting my glass down. Make it quick. We stepped into a quiet hallway, the muffled sound of laughter fading behind the doors. He turned to me, desperation etched across his face. Look, I know I don't deserve another chance, but I've hit rock bottom. Those women, they destroyed me, used me, left me with nothing. And I realized what I had with you was everything. Real, stable, safe. I see that now. Please, Sally, I've changed. We can try again. His words spilled out like a dam breaking, but every sentence was about him, his pain, his loss, his emptiness. Not once did he mention the way he'd gutted me on my birthday. Not once did he acknowledge the years I carried him. I studied him silent, letting his desperation hang in the air. Finally, I spoke. Justin, do you remember what you said that night? That you were craving other women, that I wasn't enough, that I needed to fix myself just to keep you interested. He flinched. I was wrong. I was stupid, influenced. Please, no. My voice was steady, colder than I expected. You told me I needed to be more feminine to stop your cravings. Well, I did read between the lines of that book you gave me, and you know what I found? He swallowed what? That true power isn't about twisting yourself into someone else's mold. It's about knowing your worth and walking away from anything that doesn't honor it. That's what I did. I walked away from you. His mouth opened and closed like he wanted to argue, but no words came out. I leaned in, my voice low. You outgrew boring me, remember? Well, I outgrew the man who thought loyalty was weakness. I'm not here to save you, Justin. Not anymore. At that, Bernard appeared at the end of the hall, catching my eye with a gentle smile. I stepped past Justin without another glance, sliding my hand into Bernard's. Behind me, I could feel Justin's gaze, heavy, burning, desperate. But for once, it didn't weigh me down. Because the power had shifted. I was no longer the woman holding him together. I was the woman who had let go. That night at the wedding, as I danced with Bernard beneath strings of glowing lights, I felt something I hadn't in years, peace. Justin was there, lingering at the edges of the room, but he no longer occupied space in my heart. Watching him fade into the background, I realized the hold he once had over me was gone, completely gone. For so long I had carried his voice in my head, mocking my steadiness, belittling my love, craving better. I had wondered if loyalty was a flaw, if stability was boring. But the truth revealed itself slow and patient. The only person who ever found me lacking was him. Everyone else, the friends who saw me thrive, the co-workers who respected me, the man who now held my hand, saw my worth clearly. And finally, so did I. Justin's downfall had been long and cruel, but it wasn't mine to celebrate. Karma isn't fireworks, it's erosion. One small crack after another until the whole facade collapses. He had built his life on appearances, on cravings, on the illusion that excitement mattered more than substance. And in the end, that illusion devoured him. Me, I rebuilt on steadier ground. In the months after the wedding, Bernard and I grew closer. He didn't demand I change, didn't compare me to strangers, didn't measure me against impossible standards. With him, I wasn't a project. I wasn't predictable. I was just Sally flawed, loyal, steady, and alive in ways that didn't need performance. And that was enough, more than enough. Sometimes when I'm hiking with my camera slung over my shoulder, I catch myself thinking back to that birthday gift, that ridiculous glossy book. Once it cut me open. Now it makes me laugh. Because in a strange way, Justin gave me more than an insult that night. He gave me a doorway. A way out of a life where I was undervalued. I walked through it, and I never looked back. So here's what I know now, standing on the other side of it all. Walking away doesn't mean you lost. Sometimes walking away is how you win.